He signed the paper with a pen that could kill him. Across the table, another man reaches into his pocket, calm, controlled. He pulls out a pen too. Click, not ink, a bullet fires. No loud gunshot, no warning. Just a sharp, quiet snap, and a body hitting the floor. For a second, no one understands what just happened, because no one saw a weapon. This wasn't science fiction. This was World War II. And this is where it gets disturbing, because intelligence agencies weren't asking if something like this could exist. They were asking, how many were already out there? Because this wasn't just a weapon. It was a new kind of threat. One you couldn't see coming. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why something as simple as a pen became one of the most dangerous ideas of the war. Europe was already drowning in shadows. By the early 1940s, war didn't always look like war. There were no explosions here, no front lines, just train stations, hotel lobbies, quiet offices, and people pretending to be normal. Spies moved through cities like ghosts, no uniforms, no rank, no way to tell who they really were. And that created a problem. Because in a world where anyone could be watched, carrying a weapon was almost impossible. A pistol? Too obvious. You'd be stopped immediately. A rifle? Forget it. Even a small knife could raise suspicion. Which meant one thing. If you were close to your target, you were also completely unarmed. Unless you could hide the weapon in plain sight. This is where things changed. Deep inside hidden workshops, engineers weren't just building machines anymore. They were building deception. Tiny cameras hidden in buttons, explosives disguised as everyday objects, radios tucked inside suitcases. But one idea stood out. Not because it was complex, but because it was simple. A gun, disguised as a pen. At first, even they didn't believe it. Too small, too fragile, too ordinary. But that was exactly the advantage, because no one checks a pen. But turning that idea into reality almost failed. Engineers started testing miniature firing systems, and nothing worked. The pressure was wrong. The mechanisms jammed. Some designs didn't fire at all, others were worse. They fired too early, too violently. One mistake, and the device could explode in your hand. And for a moment, it looked like the idea would die right there. But then, they changed the approach. Instead of shrinking a gun, they simplified it. No complex system, no multiple shots, just one. One bullet, one trigger, one moment. A tiny spring-loaded firing pin, hidden inside a metal tube, disguised perfectly as a pen. And suddenly, it worked. And this is the part no one talks about. This weapon wasn't designed for combat. It wasn't meant for distance. It was built for something much more dangerous. Close. Silent. Personal. You had to be right there, sitting across from your target, standing next to them, close enough to hear them breathe, close enough to shake their hand. And then you press. A hidden mechanism snaps forward. The firing pin strikes. At point-blank range, that's all it takes. No dramatic sound, no chaos, just confusion, and then silence. Now imagine this. You're in a meeting. Papers spread across the table. Someone smiles, signs a document, then casually clicks their pen. Would you even notice? Or would it already be too late? This is where things get darker. Because weapons like this don't just kill people, they destroy trust. When a gun looks like a gun, you can prepare, you can react. But when a gun looks like a pen, anyone could be a threat. The man sitting next to you, the woman taking notes, the clerk behind the desk. No one looks dangerous. And that's exactly what makes it dangerous during World War II. That kind of uncertainty was everywhere. Some versions of these pen guns were crude, single shot, unreliable, no safety. Others became more refined, stronger materials, better concealment. Even mechanisms designed to look like you were just clicking a pen. But they all shared one brutal limitation. You only got one shot. Miss, and everything falls apart. No backup, no second attempt, which meant the person holding it had to be absolutely certain. And that's what made it terrifying. Because this wasn't a soldier pulling a trigger from far away. This was someone standing inches from you, making a decision. Right there, in real time. But here's something even more unsettling. Not all of these weapons stayed on battlefields. Some were carried into cities, occupied zones, neutral countries, places where war wasn't supposed to exist. That's where they became most powerful. Because in those environments, a normal weapon exposes you instantly. But a pen? It passes inspections, crosses borders, sits quietly in your pocket, waiting. And then comes the hardest part: not using it, walking away after. Because the moment it's used, the clock starts ticking. No loud gunshot, but enough disturbance that something feels wrong. People turn, look around, and you have seconds to disappear, to become invisible again. Just another face in the crowd, holding nothing more than a pen. But here's the twist most people miss. The real power of this weapon wasn't how many people it killed. It was what it made people believe. Because once the idea existed, it didn't matter how often it was used. The fear alone was enough. If something so harmless could become a weapon, then nowhere was safe. Not meetings, not offices, not even your own home. And that changes everything. People become cautious, suspicious, paranoid. In a war built on secrecy, that kind of fear is a weapon by itself. And yet, despite all of this, the pen gun never took over. It had limits, poor accuracy, almost no range. And using it required something most people didn't have: the nerve to stand face to face with someone and make that decision. Not everyone could do that, even in war. But the idea didn't disappear. It survived. After the war ended, intelligence agencies didn't stop. They went further. More hidden tools, more disguised weapons, more ways to turn the ordinary into something dangerous. Because one lesson was clear: the most effective weapon is the one no one sees coming. And today, that idea still exists, not always as a pen, but in something much bigger. Technology keeps shrinking, blending in, becoming invisible. And once something becomes invisible, you stop looking for it. So the next time you pick up a pen, think about it. Not the ink, not the words, but the idea behind it. Because the real danger was never the pen. It was the realization that anything, no matter how harmless it looks, can be turned into a weapon. And once that idea exists, you don't know where it's hiding anymore.